You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And welcome to our show today. It is Wednesday, September 2nd, 2020, middle of the weekday, hump day, starting that long, slow glide down to Friday and another crazy weekend, followed by another crazy week, followed by another crazy weekend, so forth and so on here. We have a lot to talk about today. Mike is in our control room, twiddling the dials, keeping us out of trouble. As usual, we're going to talk about news for a bit, then we're going to open up the phones for your comments, questions, observations, and opinions here. So getting right on into it here, we are seeing what appears to me to be a repeat of the Skripal smear job on Vladimir Putin. And apparently, this revolves around Alexei Navalny, who's reportedly still in a medically induced coma in a German hospital. There's a German doctor who's come forward saying it is likely, meaning they don't actually have any proof, that Navalny was poisoned with Novichok, to get rid of him as an opponent to Vladimir Putin. Now, I'm not saying Vladimir Putin is an angel, okay, but I don't think he'd be stupid enough to do something this obvious and heavy-handed at a time when everybody in the United States media and government is trying to find reasons to hate him and demonize him. But it does remind us of what happened during the Skripal affair. And you know the routine. If it's highly likely, that's saying the same as it definitely happened. But so far, nobody's offered any proof. And of course, my question would be, if Novichok was used on this guy and he was in the middle of this flight, okay, where are the other people who got touched by it? Because it's, it goes through your skin. Anybody who touched his coffee cup, if that's where it was administered, they're going to get it. The people cleaning up the plane are going to get it. It doesn't fit the pattern of what Novichok is supposed to do here. So I, for one, am very skeptical, given that we've been lied to about this sort of thing before. And again, I'm not saying Putin's an angel, but this feels to me like more propaganda to demonize Russia here. Now, if you will remember, back during Melania Trump's speech, she was criticized by a lot of people for her accent, including Bette Midler. And Donald Trump came on out and said, you need to remember English is not her first language. So, of course, she's going to have an accent. But she got the highest scores of any Trump family member that spoke on that night. So she did very, very well. And I forget how many languages she does speak, but it's quite a few here. So Bette Midler was a little out of line. She did apologize afterwards. But just this eagerness to go after Trump and his family. And my opinion is that the family should be off limits. Leave Barron alone, leave Ivanka alone, leave Melania alone until they become public figures running for office, and then they're fair game here. Apparently, Matt Drudge has run a story claiming that Donald Trump suffered a mini stroke and was dragging his leg. And the White House doctor has already come on out and said, no, that's absolutely not true. And I think what's going on is the Democrats are trying to level the playing field by saying, all right, Joe Biden's got some dementia, but Donald Trump's had a stroke. And really, what a picture of American politics they're putting on out there, where the two men running for president of the United States of America are suffering these severe medical problems. Can't we come up with anything better? Can we go back to Tulsi Gabbard? She's healthy. She's in great shape right now. But apparently Trump slammed Matt Drudge for his website, The Drudge Report, leading with a story about how the president denied he had a mini stroke that links readers to a video where Trump is purportedly dragging his right leg. My understanding is he stumbled on a stair, which happens to all of us. It's happened to me. Anyway, now a little bit of good news for Donald Trump. He's won a 3-week reprieve from being forced to hand over his tax returns to Manhattan prosecutors. He calls it an arbitrary fishing expedition. But a federal appeals court yesterday blocked a New York prosecutor from obtaining Donald Trump's tax returns while the president's lawyers continue to fight a subpoena seeking the records. The 3-judge panel ruled after hearing both brief arguments from both sides. And it is. It's a fishing expedition. On the other hand, Trump is very nervous about this. He is saying that if those tax records are released, he'll be irreparably harmed. Now, it may be that there's some money in there that is questionable, or he may simply be trying to hide the fact that he's gone bankrupt a few times in his business career. He's not the wonderful business mind that everybody likes to think he is. You know, he's made some mistakes in the past here, and maybe he's just concerned about that. Anyway, this Democratic data and analytic firm that's very much pro-Biden is making the rounds, and they've been on Axios on HBO, pushing this idea that Trump is going to have an election day landslide, but it will be reversed when all of the vote by mail ballots are counted. And they're saying the Democrats are using vote by mail because they're afraid of the coronavirus, and the Republicans are all going to vote on election day. So it will appear that Trump will have won by a landslide, but that it will be reversed in the week or two after that. They're not even trying to hide the fact they're going to retroactively stuff the ballot boxes, and I hope Trump's legal team is looking at ways to stop this. Now, my opinion is going to be that if the ballots are not there on election day, they should not be counted. Unfortunately, they've managed to finagle this rule change where ballots that haven't been delivered on election day are still going to be counted. And you know how easy it is to fake a postmark. Some of the ballots came in without postmarks, and they're still being counted. I mean, this is a joke. This isn't an election. It's a heist. It's a hijacking of the country. And I think that if they try and actually pull that off, if Trump wins in a landslide on election day and they come back a week later and say, no, Joe Biden's your president, I think there's going to be a very nasty reaction among the American people. And I don't want to see that. But at this point, it feels like everybody is angry enough to just basically stand up and say, yeah, there's a big, big, big problem here. Okay, Joe Biden is apparently getting desperate to get his name out there, because players of Nintendo's Animal Crossing New Horizons are now getting digital yard signs on the game promoting Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And there are 4 sign variations gamers can download. They feature the official Biden-Harris sign, a Team Joe logo, a Joe Pride, and one with aviator glasses painted red, white, and blue. Animal Crossing is a dynamic, diverse, and powerful platform that brings communities together from across the world. Christian Tom, director of digital partnerships for the Biden campaign, told The Verge about the effort to reach voters. So now they're doing political ads inside computer games. If I buy a political game, that's the last thing I want to see. If I buy a computer game, that's the last thing I want to see. I'm in the computer game to escape from this crazy world, just like I want to go to movies to escape from this crazy world, not get lectured about racism and women's rights here. Which, by the way, I think is probably time I mentioned HBO's latest offering, which is Lovecraft Country. And hang on a second. All right, we'll deal with that later. Lovecraft Country, which for the first 2 episodes seemed to be little more than gratuitous woke lecturing about racism and women's rights. And I think I'm going to stop watching it because it's not fun. It's not fun. I feel like I'm being lectured, and I don't tune into HBO to be lectured here. Okay, Joe Biden managed to raise $350 million in August, smashing through all previous records set by Obama, and he's outspending Donald Trump tenfold on TV ads, which I noticed today watching Fox News, as both Biden and Trump were out there making speeches and meeting with the public, and I noticed there were far more Biden ads than there were Trump ads. But I think what Biden is doing, great that he's got the money, and nobody seems to know really where it's coming from. They're claiming it's from grassroots voters. But I think what they're trying to do is a fast burn, which is a term that you copy from film distribution, where you get on out there and you advertise something just as fast as you can, as hard as you can, to get everybody into the theaters all at once to see something before word of mouth gets out there and kills future ticket sales. And so I think Joe Biden is trying to plant himself in the minds of the electorate, of the voters rather, as early as possible to try and head off Trump's climbing polling numbers, which they are. Even the Democratic news outlets are saying the polls are tightening, and others are saying that Trump is ahead in several battleground states. All righty. As a matter of fact, most major news outlets have not been reporting polling results after the Republican National Convention. They'll talk about the polls, but they won't reveal the actual numbers and the actual raw data. I saw another interview on Fox News where they were talking with a Republican spokesperson about the military vote and how Trump can't win in November without the military vote, and the military vote may be turning against him. And the spokesperson from the Republican Party was saying that she had not seen that data yet. So people are getting very, very cagey with that data. All righty. It's the end of a dynasty. Robert F. Kennedy's grandson, Joe Kennedy III, becomes the first Kennedy to lose a Massachusetts election as he's defeated in the Senate primary in JFK's old seat. He failed to unseat the incumbent Senator Ed Markey in the Democratic primary. I don't think it's necessarily the end of the dynasty. I think they'll be back. But it did surprise a lot of people. All right, Fox News, Chris Wallace will moderate the first presidential debate. That's the end of this month. And then NBC News White House correspondent Kristen Welker will moderate the second debate, and senior executive producer at C-SPAN, Steve Scully, will host the third. No journalists were selected that were on Trump's desired list of reporters to moderate the debates. There you are. Okay, internal Trump polls are showing voters care more about the jobs and economy in COVID-19 than they do about racial injustice or law and order. So voters are more concerned with jobs and economy than with stopping racial injustice or upholding law and order. Although Trump is obviously going to be pushing the law and order theme in a lot of his public appearances. He certainly did in Kenosha. Speaking of Kenosha, according to Attorney General Barr, the feds and the National Guard were ready to go to Kenosha immediately after the police shooting, and extremists all came from out of town. We reported on that yesterday, where a lot of these people seem to be coming in from other parts of the country. All righty. As an example, there's this Black Lives Matter protester who was easily identified because he's got a spray-painted van, and he was arrested for reckless driving in Washington, D.C., was also spotted at Portland in the Kenosha riots, and police say they're investigating if groups are being funded to travel to the hotspots. And I would say the answer is probably going to be yes here. Now, the gentleman who's under investigation for the fatal shooting of Aaron Danielson in Portland over the weekend apparently brought his daughter to a Black Lives Matter protest the night before. She was wielding a baseball bat. Righty. Now, Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler has told residents in his condo building on Monday he intends to move out of the facility after it was attacked by far-left extremists, saying that he was doing so for their safety. That's pretty scary when you got to move because the mob is outside your door here. All righty. President Trump has announced he doesn't want his supporters confronting the rioters. He's saying leave it to law enforcement. After some high-profile and deadly clashes between rioters and people seeking to defend property from destruction, President Trump urged his supporters to allow law enforcement to handle riots and not to take matters into their own hands. I hope people are listening, but I don't think so. Apparently, there's been yet another clash with protesters outside the White House and on Black Lives Matter Plaza for a second night. Mobs shine torches into homes in D.C. and demand residents get out into the streets. Now, apparently, former President Barack Obama advised LeBron James and other players during their Jacob Blake social justice boycott. Now, Rand Paul, this shows you really shouldn't tick off a senator. Rand Paul has called to subpoena all of Antifa's plane records, hotel records, all travel records, and all funding to find out who was really behind all of this. He condemns the political violence in Portland, and Acting Department of Homeland Security Chad Wolf gives Portland an ultimatum, basically to start letting the National Guard come on in and help clean up the mess because the police can't do it. Apparently, the mayor of Portland has called out to other resources within the state to come on in and is being refused. Now, Kyle Rittenhouse, of course, is in prison, and he forwarded a message out through his lawyer, a little phone message. It was reposted. I just want to thank every single one of you from the bottom of my heart. Now, Twitter has started censoring Kyle Rittenhouse's legal team. Apparently, they didn't like that recording of the phone call. Facebook has banned all links to fundraiser for Kyle Rittenhouse, but allows legal defense fund for others. Remember, GoFundMe wouldn't do that, and he went to Christian Crowdfunding, which is running a funding site, and I think they've got something like $900,000 in there, which when you're looking at legal fees, it's not really all that much here. But apparently Facebook allows legal defense funds for convicted murderers, accused murderers, and rioters. Now, Facebook is threatening to delete Mark Dice over a clip of Kyle Rittenhouse offering medical aid to protesters. Now, Mark Dice's account has over 800,000 followers, and he shared a video of Kyle Rittenhouse offering medical aid to protesters during the Black Lives Matter riots in Kenosha last week. Facebook doesn't want you to see that. Now, the Kenosha GOP chairwoman says 80% of the people in the city support teenage gunman Kyle Rittenhouse, and the remaining 20% are probably people that can't stand Donald Trump. One of the attorneys for Kyle Rittenhouse is saying that leftists are attempting to find a way to bring harm to Kyle while he's in prison. This was on Tucker Carlson on Monday night. Okay, this is going viral, and well, it should. New video shows Portland SWAT teams kicking a volunteer medic's first aid kit away from where Aaron Danielson was lying on the ground dying, and there was a volunteer medic was trying to render aid, and the SWAT team just kicked the medical kit away. The footage was taken after Aaron J. Danielson was shot in the city, which has been under constant siege since George Floyd's killing in May. Danielson was a member of Patriot Prayer. They describe it as a right-wing organization. Out in Los Angeles, the sheriff's office are bracing for Black Lives Matter violence after the police kill a suspect. The victim was Dijon Kizzy, aged in his 30s, wasn't identified at first. He was the man who punched an officer in the face. Then he dropped a bundle of clothing that concealed a handgun, and he was shot and killed by the LAPD. And the LA Black Lives Matter branch tweeted, Los Angeles County sheriffs killed a black man, Dijon, on 109th and Budlong, and left his body face down in the dirt. We need all hands on deck. Please get here ASAP. The sheriff's office is saying this could turn out to be worse than the Rodney King riots. And I was in LA for the Rodney King riots. They were pretty bad. Okay, 23-year-old Wisconsin man who's been identified as a leader of Antifa was busted for carrying a flamethrower, smoke grenades, and fireworks during a Saturday night demonstration, and tried to escape from the cops, apparently was unsuccessful, dropped into a fetal position and began crying during his arrest. Apparently was already out on bail for a previous arms violation here. And here's where it's getting really, you're going to tick off a lot of people with this one. Black Lives Matter vandalizes Elvis Presley's Graceland mansion with defund the police and blank 12 graffiti. Not Elvis. There's going to be a lot of people who are really angered by that. It's a toxic brand, and they've done it to themselves. They really are. They should have stayed focused on injustice and police brutality, but they didn't. Now they're just on a rampage. They're on a riot. They're destroying their own public support with this kind of behavior. Over at MSNBC, pardon me, Joy Reid compares President Trump and supporters to Muslim terrorists and is getting slammed for her Islamophobia. On the readout on Tuesday, NBC's Joy Reid compared Trump and his supporters to violent Muslim terrorists and was immediately attacked, even by people on the left, for Islamophobia here. Now, cancel culture is really getting over the top here. The mayor of Washington, D.C. wants to rename or remove the Washington Monument, the Jefferson Monument, and the statue of Ben Franklin because they no longer reflect contemporary D.C. values. Well, I don't know about you, but I think it's going to be very difficult to move that Washington Monument. So we're going to take a break here for some commercials. We'll be right back after these few words.
Hey gang, Patrick Slattery here with an important message that is pertinent to anyone who shops for groceries, eats food, or just has an inquisitive mind like myself. What I'm about to introduce you to is a segment of our food culture that has been kept so low profile to the American public that virtually no one is aware of how dominant it is on our refrigerator and cupboard shelves. What I'm talking about is the kosher certification industry and a new app, Koshertified, that delivers a comprehensive education on all aspects regarding this little-known practice. After reviewing this app, I found that it is useful for practically anyone who purchases food, regardless of their religious faith or identity. Its database of products not kosher certified is a win-win convenience for all food-conscious people. So why not check out the kosherquestion.com or click on the link at nationalbugle.com and see how modifying your grocery shopping with the Koshertified app can make a huge difference for your future.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Well, they're stealing down on Wall Street and in Washington, too. You know, it makes me wonder, what's a guy on Main Street to do? I've always tried to be an honest, upstanding kind of guy. But I must admit lately, I thought about giving something else a try. Oh, I want to be a pirate. I want to sail the seven seas, yeah, I want to be a pirate.
And welcome back to our show here. And a friendly reminder that Republic Broadcasting is in the middle of a perpetual fundraiser. And if we don't raise enough money, we're going to have to start selling off our control room technicians for medical experiments. So if you would like to help keep our control room technicians away from those doctors with their needles and vaccines and everything like that, you can mail a donation to Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. The network and our control room technicians thank you. All right, so we're talking about this psychosis that is permeating the leadership of Washington, D.C. And the mayor of Washington, D.C. has marked several sites, including the Washington Monument, for possible removal. Good luck on that one. Also, the Jefferson Memorial and the statue of Ben Franklin as being somehow racist. Now, I don't know that Ben Franklin ever owned any slaves, but yes, George Washington and Thomas Jefferson owned slaves back when it was perfectly legal and acceptable for them to do that. Okay? And it's amazing how the liberal Democrats and Black Lives Matter and Antifa are so obsessed over things that happened 100 and 200 years ago and won't look at what's happening today. I think it's a cultural blindness. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and start taking phone calls here because they're already piling up here. Steve in North Carolina. Hello, what's on your mind?
How you doing, Mike?
Doing fine.
I know it was gonna be the first caller. I thought it was in queue. I remember the first day you come on RBN about 10 years ago.
It's been about that long, yes.
Yeah, I remember the first day. I was gonna call you up and cuss you. I think I changed my mind. Yeah, but because you got an Apple Watch, don't you? I'm sure you got an Apple Watch.
Yes, I do.
Well, I'm a blind man, but you seem like kind of individual that's got an Apple Watch.
Yes.
You like NASA and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, I'm a technoid.
So I want to know. What are you going to do when the shit hits the fan?
Well, we're going to hunker down and survive as best as we can. We've got storable food and storable water, and we're just trying to be as prepared as we can for when.
So, have you ever hunted gators and frogs and been on the swamp? Have you ever been out there?
No, I'm in Indiana, and we don't have a lot of that around here.
Yeah. You see, you're from Hawaii and Indiana. So you sound like a pussy to me. You sound like me.
Okay, that's your opinion.
So that's all I got to say.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks an awful lot. Okay, the phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. Okay, anyway. Tony Fauci is warning that COVID-19 might mean humanity has entered an age of pandemics. Frightening thought there. But they're still pushing the idea that this is a pandemic, and the numbers just aren't supporting it. They really aren't. Anyway, out in Los Angeles, the county is escalating the COVID-19 lockdown battle with John MacArthur's church by terminating the parking lot lease. So they've sent notice to Grace Community Church. The county is terminating the church's parking lot lease, the latest development in a continued legal conflict between the church and the county over the church's refusal to comply with COVID-19 lockdown restrictions. So we'll see what happens there. Okay, we talked about thousands join massive London rally against COVID tyranny. Rendered lips. Berlin's anti-COVID-19 lockdown protest draws 40,000. Germans awake en masse. Judge orders German police to back off. Angela Merkel is condemning the protesters storming the German parliament over COVID-19 restrictions. So she termed it shameful. Said they abused the right to demonstrate peacefully. Several hundred people tried to get into the Reichstag building on Saturday. CDC, this is good news. CDC and the Trump administration have blocked all evictions nationwide until the end of the year. And they're doing it to protect 43 million renters and keep them in their homes. Apparently, landlords who try and evict tenants face jail time and massive fines, especially if the eviction results in a death. So the renters are being protected, which is good. But it's, at some point, the landlords are going to be in trouble because they didn't just buy these rental properties with cash that was in their pocket. They took out loans and mortgages. And they got to make payments on them. This is like a house of cards, and the bottom level is being wiped out right now. This is at best a temp solution. What are they going to do? Have a no foreclose on the landlords moratorium? I don't know. Anyway, we're going to take a break before a commercial, and we will be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website, by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Is your property a financial burden and causing you grief? Have you tried to sell but can't find buyers? Or are you just too busy to sell your property? Don't worry, we have the right solution for you. We buy properties as is, with cash, close in 30 days, and pay all closing costs. Our service is ideal for property owners who are in pre-foreclosure, have high-end repair costs, experiencing financial hardship, going through costly divorces, are relocating, need cash for retirement, suffering family loss, or have tax liens. Whatever your situation may be, we can help you sell your property and get the money you need. If you own a single-family home or multiple family units, call us for a free consultation at 888-910-1037. That's 888-910-1037. Or visit our website at cashingproperty.com. That's cashingproperty.com. Sell your property fast and leave all your worries behind.
Hey, honey, I'm home. I grabbed a newspaper on the way home. Look at all the news today.
Don't you know that all you're going to get in the newspaper is propaganda, twisted news, and false information?
Honey, this is a national newspaper. It has to be true.
Ha! For some reason, the majority of the population believe anything the mainstream media tells them. The newspaper doesn't give out the important attention of what's happening to this country and news that affects our daily lives. Say, does that newspaper mention anything about the North American Union?
No, not that I can see.
I didn't think so. You need to go to www.newswithviews.com, where truth is more important than political correctness. That's www.newswithviews.com. Hey, don't throw that away. We can use that in the birdcage.
Okay, move over. Let me start reading newswithviews.com.
The truth? Read all about it at newswithviews.com. Newswithviews.com, where reality shatters illusion.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. Women and children alike.
Welcome back to our show here, and we're talking
Here
about
at Republic Broadcasting Network. We have been building our online store.
Okay, there we are. Are we on the air? Okay. Anyway, polarized America. 60% of Americans say the government's coronavirus response is making the pandemic worse. 75% of Republicans believe it's helping the country recover. So unfortunately, opinions about the COVID-19 are breaking down along party lines here. Over at the University of Alabama, they've had over 1,300 reported coronavirus cases, which have resulted in 0 hospitalizations, which raises the question again, how many of these positive tests are false positives? Another story, this one coming out, actually it's a YouTube video. Gastroenterologist Professor Thomas Borody says a combination of ivermectin, doxycycline, and zinc has shown to be almost 100% effective as a treatment for COVID-19 based on the findings of 6 publications. It says the ivermectin has 2 roles. It blocks the landing sites on the spike of the receptors called AC2 receptor throughout the lungs and the gut. And secondly, it inhibits replication within the cell by using zinc, which forces or helps to get in the cells. The doxycycline helps in these two areas as well. They're saying that if they use this starting now, this could all be over by Christmas. From the 6 publications we've actually examined it and published, it works close to 100%. We've been given a gift of these 3 drugs together that are already registered, licensed, and ready to use that work so well. I'm sure Big Pharma is going to be very, very unhappy about that. Okay, apparently police body cam footage shows a manhunt for a trespasser who's been living on Disney World's Discovery Island, who camped there during the COVID lockdown. Now, Discovery Island is a part of Walt Disney World that's been shut down. And apparently there are some areas in a lot of these parks where they start something and it doesn't really work, so they just sort of shut it all down. And apparently this guy got out to Discovery Island and has been living there, squatting, I guess, for lack of a better word. So the police are trying to hunt this guy down and arrest him. Okay, speaking of Christmas, the Winter Wonderland 2020 has been canceled over coronavirus concerns. The London attraction at Hyde Park brings in millions of families every year. Organizers said Winter Wonderland will be returning in November of 2021. Boy, I sure hope they don't do that around here. Here in Santa Claus, Indiana, they take their Christmas very, very, very seriously. Okay, we're going to take a phone call now from Mark in North Carolina. Hello, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
How you doing, Mike?
Doing fine.
Mike. Listen, a couple of things. One is about our old friend, the coronavirus, that this guy, I think his name is Goodman there on YouTube. He calls it the crowdsourced truth.
Yes.
Jason Goodman, he calls it the crony virus. But I just want to say one thing about with Fauci saying that there's more underway or something. I think Fauci, Gates, that other witch there, Dr. Burke, they need to be instead of having them. He should not. Trump needs to not only fire them, he needs to have them arrested and brought to Gitmo for interrogation, if necessary, waterboarding. Okay, to see exactly what they know. I have a theory now. I'm not, again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lab technician. I'm not a virologist. But I'm starting to get a theory right now that they might have meant this thing to be a lot worse. However, being that it was maybe biologic, that maybe by being, man-made, that it might not have the effectiveness they thought it has when it hits the air, when it gets into, general populations and hits nature. That nature, they may not be able to, this kind of a virus, if it exists at all, is not capable of existing in nature in the way a regular flu virus or something like that does. I don't know. I can't say for sure, but I'm suspicious of what else these people might try. These people are evil, Mike. I think they're up to no good. They basically want to destroy the human race for all intents and purposes, and they want their robot society.
I think it's just greed, and I think the first thing we ought to do is find out how much stock in the big pharmaceutical industries these people have. We know that Bill Gates is heavily invested in that.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure. Well, it's greed, too, but I think it's more than greed. I think these people are just really vicious, and they hate humanity. The other thing I want to get to is with Kyle Rittenhouse. Antifa pretends they're really, friends of the people and they're anti-fascist and all this stuff. Well, what they do is they go into these places after, and believe me, I don't think I think that cop should be arrested for what he did. I don't think there's any excuse for shooting him 7 times, because they could have easily grabbed this guy, wrestled him to the ground before he even got into his car, and they didn't do it. And this guy, I think, overreacted and probably should go to jail for what he did. Okay, but then to go into these area around Kinkosha, excuse me, and go around burning and destroying businesses owned by regular, middle class, working class type people. Certainly not rich, small businesses. The same type of business already been hurt enough by this COVID-19 scam. This is criminal, and Kyle Rittenhouse was just trying to provide a little extra protection that the police weren't doing, because the police punked out and didn't go there and do anything. Well, I don't know whether it be at the behest of the mayor or they just were afraid. I don't know. Okay, but whatever the case is, that's what happened. Now, if they really meant business, if let's say Antifa really was the side of the people and against these, what I call predatory capitalists, they would go into Silicon Valley and go, start burning down, I don't know, Facebook, Twitter, the other one, I don't know, Facebook,
YouTube.
Twitter, Apple. Well, Apple is actually in China, huh? Or they go ahead and I don't even know where Amazon is located, where their main headquarters are, but wherever it is, go to Amazon and start burning that down. And then go
Yeah,
to
but
Wall
you
Street
need to
and-
understand these large corporations have been funding Antifa and Black Lives Matter specifically so that their
Exactly.
buildings aren't being targeted.
Exactly, Mike. Exactly. The same thing as they're funding ISIS and Al Qaeda overseas to attack nations, places like Libya and Syria and Iran and all that, and do the bidding of the Zionists there of Israel too. You're right. That's what they're fund. And over here, they're using Antifa and Black Lives Matter, so-called Black Lives Matter. Really, they are the vast majority of spoiled white college kids and a bunch of criminals too, like the 3 that was shot by Kyle Rittenhouse. Okay, this is what they're supporting instead. But you're right. That's why they don't go ahead and attack the real predators, the real predatory ruling class. Instead, like you said, they're paid and working for them. Exactly. And I think this is all tied in together, by the way, including I think the whole scam, the scamdemic, and I think the whole thing with the Black Lives Matter and Antifa is all tied in together. We're all part of the same problem. And we better wake up, Mike, or we won't have a country left. And this thing, what's going on with the election now, I have no use for Trump, Mike. You know that. I've told you that before. I was off that train the first time he bombed Syria. He had no business doing. Okay? And, but I know if we got to get Biden and Harris, this country is probably not going to survive as a nation.
No.
Okay? Or let's put it like this. We will go into a civil war, a major civil war. I think there's a possibility we can avoid it if Trump is in there. Okay? But I think we will definitely have it because they will come after the guns. They will try to forcibly vaccinate us. And that's when it's going to be on. Carlos Zapata was on Alex Jones today, the guy who made that statement there in Shasta, California. About, you better watch out because there's a lot of people like me, veterans and stuff like that, and people armed. And he said they could produce 1 million armed men, the snap of a finger, okay, if necessary. And that's what would get Biden and Harris. That's exactly what you're going to get, Mike.
Yeah.
A war, and it's simple. And I don't know whether this country will survive it, whether it would split up into different countries, whatever. But it would never be the same United States of America. I think we have a slight chance under Trump that we could still be the country that we once were. Okay, I don't have a lot of faith in it because I don't have a lot of faith in Trump. I think the man is basically at the best he's incompetent. At the worst, he's
weak.
Actually part of this whole thing, huh?
I think he's weak. I don't think he's part of the whole thing. I think that's why everybody pretty much hates him so much. But I think he's weak and easily manipulated.
Yeah. I agree with you on that, Mike. I agree with you. He is weak and he's being manipulated. However, right now, it's the only game in town because the alternate is just too much to imagine the damage that a Biden-Harris, it would really be a Harris administration, would do to the country. Horrendous. Really horrendous. And as far as the foreign policy goes, the warmongers and all that, if anything, they're even more warmongering than Trump is, okay? They're not, they have an obsession about Syria still, about Assad, President Assad there in Syria. So, and they have an obsession about Russia. If anything, they would be more likely to get us into a World War III with Russia, and that would, of course, would probably be the end of the Bill Gateses might really get their wish, the end of mankind. Except Gates will go along with it then, unless he gets. All right. So anyway, Mike, you have a good day. All right.
All right.
Anybody else have to say? All right. I want to hear from. Hopefully, we'll hear from Dustin and from Tom. I want to see what they got to say about this. Right.
I'm sure they'll call in during the show here. You know, we tried to connect with Dustin yesterday, but we were having system problems somewhere along the line here. All right. Thank you for the phone call. We're going to let you go. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. Governor Ron DeSantis has fired Quest Diagnostics for dumping months-old data from 75,000 tests in one single day. So if you're wondering where they're getting the high numbers, that's where it's coming from. Boston Dynamics, you know that company, they're doing wonderful work with robotics. And apparently one of their robot dogs has been modified and programmed to sniff out coronavirus symptoms in patients from over 6 feet away at a Massachusetts hospital. So that must be something for the people walking the hallways to see that dog coming along and sniffing at them, or whatever the robot does that passes for a sniff. The FDA nears approval of an injectable biochip implant for COVID detection linked to computers. The Department of Defense and you knew this was going to be coming, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation have partnered with a Silicon Valley company, Profusa, to implement a technology which could control our minds and bodies. What may seem like science fiction is in fact happening in real time. A permanent chip made of an advanced material called hydrogel irreversibly ties humans to the internet cloud. The chip, about the size of a grain of rice, provides feedback to a database on changes in body chemistry and other biometrics. The company says technology will be used to detect COVID in the general population before symptoms actually show. Now, the FDA is also skipping phase 3 trials on COVID vaccines, turning the American people into guinea pigs for Big Pharma's high-profit medical experiments. The arrogance of those who worship vaccine science is on full display. The Food and Drug Administration just made a commitment to authorize millions of new COVID-19 vaccines before the already corrupted phase 3 trials are complete. The arrogance is so brazen, Trump is putting the military in charge of rolling the vaccine program out. The Department of Defense has already awarded a $138 million contract for pre-filled syringes, as if safety and efficacy studies do not matter anymore. All right, we're going to go back to the phones here to Peter in Los Angeles. Hello, Peter. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Mike, I just want to follow up with what Mark just said. And he was saying that discussing the possibility, slim possibility, of ever getting back to where our country once was. And I would tell you that is never going to happen. And the simple reason is that we have a political leadership who, for the most part, is of our same ethnicity, but who is willing to sell out the majority population of this country unjustly, for employment, for rights, for admissions to schools, and it's going to go on and on. It's only going to get more. It's sold out. It's willing to sell out our First Amendment rights to the interest of a foreign country, as Israel has absolutely skewered the First Amendment, and you're not allowed to criticize it in now 28 states. We have a foreign policy that is dominated by a foreign government and a fifth column lobby of Jews sympathetic to Israel, Israel first Jews in America. And so our media is run by these same people. Our banks are run by these same people, but they're willing to, our legislators, we have people more than willing to make the payoffs, and we have the whores in the legislature who are willing to sell out their own children in order to take those payments and to get us into those wars and to surrender our rights. And we will never get back to where we were. We're going to be lucky as the white, quote, majority. We're going to be lucky to survive the next 10 years.
Well, I still hold the opinion that this country is heading for a major, major fall, and that our best course of action is to be prepared to start up a new country based on the way things used to be in this country. Constitution, Bill of Rights, and certain controls on extreme wealth and special interests.
Mike, it will never get back that way in the Bill of Rights. You know why? Because we have a woke, entitled black minority of 13% that now expects and demands that they get rights beyond everybody else.
Yes.
And God forbid if you're white or if you're an honorary white and Asian. By the way, they did away in California with all SAT and ACT.
Yeah, I saw
that. No more metrics out here. No more metrics here. Of course, that's going to penalize the high-achieving Asians, the high-achieving whites, and just
hey, Peter, I'm going to put you on hold. Peter, don't go away. I'm going to put you on hold. I'm going to come right back to you after these words from our sponsors.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, keep it today.
Hello, I'm Dr. Leonard Horowitz. I was right 30 years ago in warning the world about threatening lab virus outbreaks, AIDS, and Ebola. I was right 20 years ago when FBI Director Robert Mueller made me a suspect in the anthrax mailings because I warned the Bureau before the CIA's biocrime and Cipro sales psyops happened. I was right about COVID-19 being an AIDS-laced mutagen planned to resurge this fall to excuse officials' profitable depopulation globalization agendas. And I was right about the only safeguards being antioxidants and holy spiritual sustenance. Vitamin C, D, zinc, chlorophyll, oxygen, and oxysilver especially transmits the frequency resonance to neutralize the expanded function bioweapon. Oxysilver is a double superconductor of the healing power of love. It is the first nutraceutical invented to amplify prayer power and the faithful, loving intention of your heart. Buy, try, and stockpile Oxysilver through HealthyWorldStore.com.
Hear ye, ConstitutionOnTrial.com presents the most important question for our generation. Is the United States Constitution biblical? Witness the prosecution and defense of the United States Constitution on trial, live and unscripted at the Maranatha Retreat Center in Everton, Missouri, and streamed live on YouTube. For the prosecution, Ted Weiland, pastor, Bible teacher, and author of Bible Law versus the United States Constitution, The Christian Perspective. Versus for the defense, Brent Allen Winters, a practicing lawyer and author of Excellence of Common Law in Light of History, Nature, and Scripture. Is the United States Constitution biblical? Live and unscripted at the Maranatha Retreat Center in Everton, Missouri, and live streamed on YouTube. Saturday, September 19th from 6:30 till 9:30 p.m. Come one, come all. This most important event is free to attend and streamed live on YouTube. Go to ConstitutionOnTrial.com.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay. Unemployment getting
Welcome back to our show. Here we're talking with Peter in Los Angeles. We were talking about the fact that out in California, universities and colleges have dropped using the SAT or ACT to gauge whether or not potential students have the necessary skills to attend colleges and universities. And it's almost like in this Black Lives Matter Antifa climate, if you will, everything is being equated to white supremacism. Excellence represents white supremacism and racism. Achievement represents white supremacism and racism. And it's almost like, I don't want to have a doctor operating on me who was not the best in their class, to be very honest.
Well, that's what we're going to get. But the root cause of this all, honestly, is a group of people with absolute supremacist leanings, Jewish supremacists who can print money out of nothing and who can buy Congress and manage to turn this country, represented supposedly by mostly white and mostly Christian representatives in Congress and the president, everything else, and has managed to show them to be the complete whores that they are in order to sell out their own countrymen, their own families. And I'm asking for nothing more than equal rights for everybody, equal opportunity under the law, not equal outcome, equal opportunity. And we're never going to get it because these run the media, who run the banks and can print money out of nothing, have it in for us, and we better get used to the idea that they've got to get taken down or they will take us down, as they already are. They're taking us down in our own country as a majority population. And you know what? They are a fifth column. They're traitors. They're traitors to this country, the United States of America, and they are out to get us. They're out to get the black people, too. The black people are just there to be their absolute pawns and the club over the high-achieving Asians and the white population that stands in their way for complete domination. And they're doing that in Europe, too, with their ridiculous border and immigration policies when they won't brook any of that in their own precious, pet, stolen country of Israel. So, do I sound mad, Mike?
Yes, you sound angry, and justifiably so.
I am. And I'm telling you, you can't even criticize them now. You can't even criticize them. You lose your job. You get defunded, deplatformed, thrown off, banned, whatever. And we are not allowed to have an identity at all. Everybody else, we can't even say that our lives matter. We can't even say our lives matter in a country where we're 60% of the population and we built the goddamn country.
All right. Well, Peter, I got to let you go. We got to take a break for station identification. I understand your angst. And yeah, if you're a white heterosexual male in this country, there is nobody speaking out for you right now. We'll be back after station identification with more phone calls.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly!
The new EaseOff Model Easy 4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The EaseOff lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
Sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the EaseOff? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my Ease Off?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry because we are offering $200 off on the new Easy 4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows too. Ease Off LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Welcome back to our show, hour number 2. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443, and we're going to go to Andy in Texas. Hello, Andy. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Hey, well, hi, Mike. Appreciate that. Hey, you know what? If we could get back to the republic that we used to have, and we based all of our laws off of the first 10 amendments, we could have Congress would be reduced to what they were required to do. 2 times a year they were supposed to meet, and we couldn't pay them all this money that we do. But that's not what it called for.
Okay.
I want people to remember when Donald Trump first announced Project Warp Speed or whatever, Operation Warp Speed.
Yes.
He said that it was very kosher about, his view on it. He was like, well, some people might not want it, but we'll be able to get it out there and blah, blah, blah. And then in the next couple of different speeches that I heard him talking about, he was talking about that he was going to have it distributed by the military, and they were going to do it in a very powerful way. And they were going to give it to him. They'll be able to give a ton of these things out. He didn't say offer at that particular point. He said give in a powerful way and whatnot. And there's several different things he's saying. So I just want people to be aware Donald Trump is not who you think he is. The victim card is being played. Q has really got us going crazy. Still a lot of millions of people are going crazy on Q and whatnot. Not to mention, you got 2 syndromes here. You got the ones who hate Trump, and then you got the ones who just love him too much. And then you got us in the middle. I'm not putting anybody in my group, but they're in the middle, and we're like, hey, he's a politician. Let's not forget that he also owns casinos. So,
yes.
And that goes back a ways. You know what I'm saying? And he owns these different resorts, and he's in with a lot of different people and stuff, and he does have his Zionist connection, and he's quite proud of it. He loves that tree of life sitting in his office. So, people, I just want you to be aware. Get off the Trump derangement syndrome, whatever side you're on. You hate him or you love him. Just realize that, we're really being played, and we have been being played for years. And I'm kind of scared. I'm a veteran here, and I'm thinking, I might have to kill somebody someday, just to keep my food or something. You know what I'm saying? And
yes.
I'm not willing to kill somebody, but I will kill somebody if it's me or them. You know what I'm saying? And I think we're getting close to that point. And so that's all I got to say, Mike. You have a great day.
All right. Thanks an awful lot for the phone call. We're going to switch over to Kevin in Nevada. Hello, Kevin. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi, Mike. Longtime listener and follower. And I want to say before I start talking more, I love you more. Okay, what I want to bring up is the chief. I want to bring up the chief diversity officer. All the companies, the 500 S&P companies, have these clowns, and their average salary is $250,000 a year.
Boy, I'm in the wrong line of work.
Yeah, we all are. Hey, Obama had 8 years to put in a lot of this stuff, and it's not just Obama. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's a bunch of them. And the other thing I want to talk about a couple days later, I know you don't believe it when they say, "Oh, well, why hasn't the Department of Justice gone after these people, the pedophiles?" You know, and when I find myself thinking that I'm on the FBI side, I kind of think of Kenneth Trentadue. Remember him?
Not off the top of my head, no.
The John Doe #2 from
Oh,
the
yes.
Oklahoma bombing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And
Yep.
who is the deputy? The deputy. It mistakes me now. Who's the guy? You know the guy who was in charge of Fast and Furious?
I'm blanking on that too, I'm afraid.
Yeah, no, you see, that's the problem, is you've been involved in all this so many years, and same with me, and we get information overload, and right now, I'm finding, hey, wait, I'm on the FBI side? Terrence Yeagy, remember him? You know, I've been called a racist, and in my top 20 most important Americans, I say Terrence Yeagy. I'm sorry. You know, the black cop who went into Oklahoma City, he shot himself in the head twice, jumped a fence, and ran 2 miles.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, so, you know, I don't know where I'm going with this, but we're being played.
Well, we're always being played, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. But yeah, a big thing is, you know, these people, these bureaucrats who've been in these jobs that pay so much money every year, so much, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, they're still there.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying, right?
I'm having a hard time following where you're going with this.
Oh, well, why would, you know, with the chief diversity officers, why wouldn't these companies give millions? And with these embedded people who have been covering up crimes, you know, remember the FBI agent who said right away, hey, we have ammonia nitrate explosion in Oklahoma City.
Yes, and he was there.
So
He
why
was an
should we
explosives
believe-
expert. I remember him. He was an explosives expert who'd spent the previous month out in the deserts of Nevada blowing up trucks with ammonium nitrate and fuel oil.
Correct. Well, Nevada and New Mexico. And so why should we believe any of them? Or why should we? I guess I don't know even my point of the phone call. I'm just getting frustrated because, you know, I hear you on the side of the FBI, and at times, oh, I'm on their side too. But, you know, if you look back, you've been doing this for years. I've been
Yes.
following stuff for years, and if we look back, the FBI, they've been dropping the balls and right in the middle of everything.
By the way, I'm getting emails saying that Eric Holder was in charge of Fast and Furious.
Yeah, Eric Holder. Why isn't he arrested right now? You know, Kenneth Trenadue's brother would agree with me right now. You know, of course he would. Because we all got to remember, like when Kenneth's brother went and got the Freedom of Information Act request for the Oklahoma bombing, anything that showed anything was blacked out.
Yeah, I remember that.
And what they called it,
That tends to be
called
normal.
it, you know, when he, what's up, Mike?
I said that tends to be normal with most documents obtained through the Freedom of Information Act, is that they're redacted.
Oh yeah, they're redacted big time. You know, I guess the point of my phone call is I'm kind of disappointed in myself when I say that I'm on the side of the FBI to go get these rioters. So right when, I don't know if I made the connection. I'm not sure if you did, but remember the Bureau of Land Management and out in Mesquite, Nevada?
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, Black BLM Lives Matter comes out, and where's the Bureau of Land Management and all of their outrageous abuses? It's gone. Now we're on their side, right? We're on their side. There is no there.
Okay, Kevin, I'm not sure you're really making a point here. You know, I think it's just a coincidence that Black Lives Matter and the Bureau of Land Management have the same initials. I don't think there's a linkage there.
No. Well, the reason why I do think is because the Bureau of Land Management, that protest went away. It's gone. Have you heard a word in 4 years about the BLM, Bureau of Land Management abuses?
No, that's because they were forced to back off by public opinion. Anyway, Kevin, listen, we got other callers waiting on the line, so thank you very much for the phone call. We're going to have to let you go here and switch over to Miles in Maine. Hello, Miles. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Aloha, Michael. You know, this caller that calls in, we don't know Trump. Okay. All right. We don't know Trump. He's gone through how many investigations, trials, lawsuits, and we don't know Trump. But here's what we do know. We know Joe Biden. We know Hunter Biden. We know the Ukraine scandal. We know all that. We know Kamala Harris. We know Pelosi. We know the Democrats. We know their agenda. I hope we can wake this guy up, Michael, and these other anti-Trumpers. There's two games in this town, and one's a loser. One's a total loser for the people. One instantaneously institutes the dreadfulness we all hope we'll never see. Period.
Okay.
And this
You
other
make a valid point there.
This other fool that called in, and he says, you're a, you know what, I'm not even going to say it, because the reason I'm mentioning this guy to be a fool, and I usually don't say anything like that, but there's a lot of very nice ladies that call in. Em, I think, is one of them, the one that has a little bit of an accent, although she loves calling in and talking to you like all of us. And, you know, there's a whole host of them that they call in and they're wonderful. And thank God this dummy didn't do that when Clara was on here or something, because that would have been absolutely disgraceful, I think, to this show had Lady Clara, lovely Lady Clara, been on here to hear this guy, you know. And
Well,
who
she's
knows?
surprisingly
Who knows what
resilient.
this guy- well, she married you, right, Michael?
Yes, that's true. That was the trial by fire.
So anyway, though, that's just my commentary. But you know what? Yeah, we don't know Trump. We don't know everything. We don't have a crystal ball, but we know what we're up against. I still think we know what we're up against. So, and that's where we're at with things. So, Michael, thank you so much. Have a great show.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Steve in New York. Hello, Steve. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Oh, actually, Dave. I'm sorry. Sorry, Mike. He sounds like Steve.
Okay, Dave in New York.
Yes. Let me take it off. Yeah, Mike. And now you were a school teacher. Is that right?
I taught remedial math at a high school level, and then I taught computer animation at the university level.
Okay. All right. Well, sometimes I like the perspective of school teachers, because they tend to look at everything, and they look at it a little differently. Now, there was this report out, and I think reading comprehension is very important here, and that's why I mentioned that. The report is this week, CDC quietly updated COVID-19 numbers, blah, blah, blah. They did not update their COVID-19 death numbers, and this is what many are concluding. Have you seen that article? Have you read it?
That's the one where they're saying that 96% of the deaths actually died from COVID-19.
That seems to be what people are deriving from reading this. To me, this is a bait article. It's baiting people into an unreasonable conclusion because when we look at the CDC website, I mean, it clearly says the same kind of thing it does for the flu and other things. They put down comorbidities. This is just standard for them. This is not an admission that only 9,210 Americans died from COVID-19. And, you see this? Did you look at this carefully, or you're still digesting this among 1,000 other things?
I'm still digesting it among 1,000 other things, yes.
All right. Well, I'm telling you, and you can also look on the CDC website where you do see the table of the weekly updates. You can click on excess deaths. And when you look at the excess mortality chart, they always have had this. They had this in previous years. And it showed an excursion in the 2017-18, the high flu year.
Mm-hmm.
But in this year, it's even higher. So if you integrate under that curve above the average line that's there, the moving average or something, okay,
yes.
Basically this has been done by another article, and they say the excess deaths tally in the U.S. is 204,691 in 7 months as of August 15th. So that's even
but that's
higher
from
than
that's
the
from
number of
all
deaths.
causes. That's from all causes, and don't forget there's been a population growth. Plus, we've got the violence in the cities.
Well, there wasn't much violence in the cities then, but that's the excess deaths. And I mean, I think their data is internally consistent. What John Statmiller pointed out was it was their data, and that's true. We don't have the primary data to analyze.
No, we don't.
But that suggests that, I mean, even COVID deaths could be a little higher, or the other excess deaths could be due to people that were locked in their home and afraid to go to the hospital. I mean, certainly there was some of that as well.
Yes.
That's the point I like to make, because people on the network are taking this article and running with it, which is, to me, extremely irrational. And I think there's a COVID-19 denialism, a desire in the population, as there is a Trump-loving or Trump-hating desire. And I think we need to be rational and not polarized by feelings or impressions we have or predilections.
Yeah, but you said it
That's all I
yourself.
really
We don't
had
have
to
the
say.
primary. We don't have the primary data, and if we don't have the primary data, all we've got left are assumptions and opinions and hopes and dreams and desires.
No, because the CDC has always used all these death certificates going in. The only way they could pervert it was by telling people, listen, you put down COVID-19 regardless of what happened, a motorcycle accident. And so there's some false reporting there, but we
Yes,
don't know
there
how
is.
significant that is.
Well,
I think
that's
the other
another
point
unknown.
is that, yes, but there's some things that are well known. There are people that are having lung damage and all kinds of blood clots through their whole system, affecting different organs. And this, even with some asymptomatic people, there are reports of this. And Chris Martenson deals with this every week on his videos. He goes into the details. He's a pathologist. So I think that's a good place for people to look. But the severity of this to people who didn't even die is significant. Now, so I think we just need to be honest about trying to look at what we're seeing here and trying to assess it. I understand it's difficult for us all.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Well, thanks an awful lot for the phone call, Steve. We're going to switch over to Bruce in Texas. Hello, Bruce. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Hey, how you doing, Mike?
I'm doing fine.
Great. Hey, I just want to plug some holes in the caller, a couple of callers back, see if I got the answers he was looking for. He was talking about John Doe number 2.
Yes.
And I believe he was talking about for Oklahoma City bombing. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay. I think there's either Jose Padilla, because the witness sketch looked just like him.
Yes.
Or it was Andrea Strassmeyer, who was an agent from Germany, allegedly working also for the JDL or the ACO, not the ACO, one of those groups,
Yes.
NGOs. And he was released. He was allowed to return back to Germany. And when he was talking about the assistant, I believe he was referring to Eric Holder, who was the assistant AG at the time.
Yes.
And he stonewalled independent investigations into Oklahoma City. And his
Okay, I'm going to have to
reward
put
was
you on hold, Bruce. Don't hang up. I'm going to come right back to you after these words from our sponsors.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Some are maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far $5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
Welcome back to our show here. We're talking with Bruce in Texas. And Bruce, if you could just sort of pick up where you left off.
Yeah. And so Eric Holder, who was assistant AG at the time of the Oklahoma City bombing, he was rewarded for his efforts with the AG appointment once Obama was elected. Just to connect some dots there in that first caller. And I want to point out that it's more than coincidental that the 3 people that Rittenhouse, what's that kid's name? The one that defended
Kyle
himself. Rittenhouse, yeah, that he shot were all Jewish. I mean, I'm not going to bash on, become a Jew basher here, but it's just they're involved in the psyop, and they're involved just like other people are. They get indoctrinated at an early age. I was listening to No More News with Adam Green. He played a clip that's pretty illuminating. There was a girl there in the street, and she was screaming at Patriot Prayer people, you Nazis, I'm Jewish, you're not, And so these people are foot soldiers, and they're far more dangerous than maybe it seems at first glance. The World War II was kicked off by violence on the German-Polish border by Jewish people who were instigated into enacting violence against Germans who were trapped there because after World War I, they were formerly in Germany, and then they were in Poland, and that was the whole deal. The entire war got started over that.
Yes.
So these street level protests, it's very, destabilization has been going on for a long time. Just look at the Ukraine. This reminds me a lot of the Ukraine during 2012 during Obama years. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. I'm done.
Okay. Well, I mean, there were a lot of factors that led to World War II, and certainly the attacks on the Germans that were trapped in Poland was part of it. But a lot of it also had to do, as Winston Churchill stated, was that Germany all of a sudden had become another economic manufacturing powerhouse against which most of Europe, including Great Britain, could not compete. And so before Winston Churchill became prime minister, he did a lot of radio reporting where he talked about how, Germany should not have been allowed to recover from World War I.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm just saying that was a spark that lit the fire,
Yeah.
That Hitler was pushed to a corner to where, he was, he had to act to save his people or whatever. You lose face at home. And he was emotionally and politically driven to do that. And they set up the non-aggression pact with the Soviets, and he was kind of naive to the fact that he was being set up to instigate war. And I just wanted, this Black Lives Matter and this Antifa stuff, this is all orchestrated from on high. It's pretty damn obvious. And Trump, I'm going to vote for him. What other choice do I have? But, the DOJ and the FBI and all them, they're sitting on their hands, and it should be completely obvious that we're being set up for a fall. That's all I got.
All right. Well, Bruce, thank you very much there. And I'm going to switch over to Keith Rogers. Hello, Keith. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
There's a long beat. Hi, Mike. I dropped you a message on VK. You might watch a video during your break there. But anyway.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, okay. Just two things here. One is that the DHS, the ATF, and BATF were all involved, as well as the DEA, in this Fast and Furious. Remember, they cut deals with the Sinaloa drug cartel, in which Dum Dum, El Chapo, in his man cave was found the Fast and Furious weapons. This was to disperse the rivals of what I would call the CIA, which is no different than looking at Oliver North, to how he became president of the NRA with his backgrounds with the Contras affair, But anyway, the reason I called, there's like down in Australia right now, anyone that posts anything about freedom are having their computers and stuff seized, and Facebook is taking their accounts down. And there's more going on to what's behind all this. And one of your callers kind of made it true or made a point out of it, because on forward.com, Antifa used to be a Jewish neo-Nazi, anti-Nazi organization there. But today we see that Israel is arming the neo-Nazis in Ukraine. The U.S. is backing them up. It's a constant badgering back and forth, as long as you're keeping frictions going, just as inasmuch as the FBI, who set up these KKK groups, 40 of them down through Tennessee and stuff, which were devised to kill off union leaders. The same premise they did all through Central and South America, for the big corporations to go in there, destroy any wage and labor reforms. The same thing they've done here. And of course, there's always the victim, poor America, Whereas with the U.S. corporations, and you brought this out, and I really appreciate that, how the U.S. corporations are what sold out America, who used to have these strong union jobs,
Okay, Keith,
full-time
I got to
health
put you
care.
on hold. Keith, I got to
All
put
right,
you on
go ahead.
hold. Don't hang up. We'll be right back.
All right.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Extend your life with Extendovite, a 7-herb combination made from garlic, cayenne, bilberry, hawthorn, ginkgo biloba, valerian, and milk thistle. Each herb was chosen for their abilities to help improve irregular heartbeats, chest pain, lower cholesterol, as well as normalize blood pressure and clean and strengthen arteries, plus much, much more. Doctors have taken people off of some or all of their pills just because they believe their patients got better while taking Extendovite. Get the dependability of Extendovite. Just see how you feel in 6 months. A 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid is only $69.95 plus shipping and handling. Call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We have a special promotion going on at Republic Broadcasting. This is a fundraiser for Republic Broadcasting involving the Energy Cleaner. Mail me a postcard. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. We pick a postcard every other Thursday. When your postcard is drawn out, you get to buy an Energy Cleaner for $215 instead of $285, $70 discount. $200 goes to Republic Broadcasting. You also get a 10% discount on my mattress pads. So get those postcards in, put your name, your telephone number, your email address on there, and when your postcard is drawn, you get to get an Energy Cleaner for $215 instead of $285. Mattress pads, 10% off. Help us out at Republic Broadcasting and help yourself to get an Energy Cleaner at a deep discount. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We hope you can get these postcards in soon. Thank you very much.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or signed since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight.
Welcome back to our show here. We're talking with Keith Rogers. And Keith, if you could just pick up where you left off.
Okay, yeah. So the reason I actually called, though, the Johns Hopkins University put out a chart of like what the seasonal flu was, and the last updated one I had was March 21st. But it said like with the seasonal flu it was 1 billion infected, and between the deaths it was between 290,000 to 650,000. And then it went over to China. And then it said that China had almost 700,000 infected, but it only showed 31,000 deaths. But what's interesting about this entire thing is in February. I believe it's February. It could have been March, but I think it's February, where they came out with, well, actually, let me go back to November 2019. This is where the United States and NATO had privately warned Israel about the outbreak. And you can read that article on the Times of Israel. And then the United States in February had quietly purchased a whole bunch of masks and medical equipment and stuff like that from China. Sorry, they didn't purchase it. They sent it. They sent it to China.
Yes.
And then if you read the Times of Israel again, you'll find, or Tourette's, one of the two, you'll see that the Israelis were basically getting that stuff to service 1,000 IDF soldiers. So the United States basically through the back door had supplied Israel through that. And that's why Gordon Duff has that one article on VT about how the United States let everyone else know except the United States, basically taking care of Israel first, But the other reason is that I have probably 30 videos from around the world of all of these doctors coming forward saying that they were being forced to put down COVID-19 deaths. And
they were being bribed in
concerned
some
because
cases.
and this is a felony to fake death certificates. And so there would be a charge or an account for each one of those that they fake. And then there was that video down there in Houston, which I believe RBN had on its website there, of how they were dickering back and forth of how to label people as COVID-19 deaths like that. And basically it all came down to whoever died was COVID-19. And we had that motorcyclist die that was COVID-19. I mean, but there is a virus out there. It's just they're using this for nefarious means. Meanwhile, as we see this Black Lives Matter, which is like a CIA prop, you bring in you cause the civil riots. There's something else in the background. Well, that's your Federal Reserve and stuff buying up everything here in America. And while they're doing that, Americans are screaming for their stimulus check. They're not getting nothing. They're getting more and more mad. This is to get more people out in the streets. And it's just a giant psyop.
Yes.
And of course, the main purpose, of course, was to take out a sitting president.
Well, this reminds me a lot of back in
Same thing.
2009 with the When Pigs Fly flu, where we were told it was a slate wiper, and we discovered the World Health Organization lowered the number of infections to be able to declare it a pandemic. And it was all about scaring us into buying Tamiflu.
Right, well, yeah, remember, though, that it started in the United States and went down into Mexico, but you didn't hear anyone out calling it the American flu.
Yeah.
And that had over 1 million infected, was it 123,000 to 203,000 deaths.
Yes.
And yet we don't hear that because, see, this is being used for PR, just like the United States is ramping up this stuff with war with China, whether it's the South China Sea, the Spratly Islands, or over in India with China right now. Like Gerald Celente would say, when all else fails, they take you to war. They need a massive distraction to the massive heist that's being done with the Federal Reserve right now.
Yes.
So anyway,
every time the U.S. government gets into a financial mess, they get into a world war to distract everybody from it or to blame for it. Crash of 1907, World War I, crash of 1929, World War II, crash of 2008. Here we are on the border of World War III.
Yeah, well, they have a video right now on YouTube there about some guy which was allegedly poisoned by Russia there. And I'm going, the minute I watched that thing, all I could think about was watching that the video there with dumb CIA. They're talking about that dart gun of theirs that can poison someone with a shellfish type toxin like that the CIA was using. This is back during Cuba and stuff,
Yes.
As if the United States hasn't ever done that stuff, or poisoned someone's food, like down through Grenada and stuff, where they poisoned all the spices and stuff. I mean, it's a tit for tat type thing for government to keep everyone on edge and in constant fear. Now they say even stomach pain is a sign of COVID. I mean, they want you to run to the hospital and everything. That way the hospitals are getting paid for this. Remember? Was it $38,000 a patient or something like that?
$38,000 if they get them on a ventilator. I think it's $3,000 just for saying it's coronavirus.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a massive ripoff, and Americans are going to pay for this with the coming inflation and hyperinflation with what the Federal Reserve's doing. That's the biggest psyop in the world. Anyway, thanks, Mike. Okay.
All right. Thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Tom in Florida. Hello, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Michael. Good day to you. Yeah, Mike. Just want to bring. I couldn't make it yesterday, but I want to talk about. You had a caller yesterday, Dan from Washington. I believe he brought up a good point on something. Systemic racism that affirmative action has put on white America is absolutely disgusting. I believe affirmative action has Trump, if he gets a second term, he has to put that to an end. He has to end this systemic racism of affirmative action. I call it affirmative action because it's not really helping nobody. Okay, that's one of the main linchpins of the destruction of this country is affirmative action. You should get a job because you're qualified, not because of your skin color. Okay, that's got to be thrown in the trash heap. But here, Mike, here's what's really going on. What I wanted to call you about. You heard about this Democrat in California named Vernon Jones? Have you heard about this Democrat, Mike? Vernon Jones in California?
The name sounds familiar, but I'm not sure what he's done.
Well, what he's done, Mike, is he's exposed all these blacks for not stopping the illegal immigration to California. He's a black congressman in California. Maybe Pete will call in and tell you about it. This guy is exposing the Democrat Party, the Democrat Party. He said 50% of the black vote should go to Trump. He was one guy. He was the one that he was with Rand Paul when they were trying to beat him up here after the convention. And Vernon Jones is telling all these blacks, we've allowed, the Democratic Party has allowed all these multiple millions of illegals, 30 million illegals, to take your jobs from you, black America. That's why he's basically coming out now saying that half the black electorate should vote for Trump because the Democrats have for the last 50 years promoted the invasion of this whole country with illegals to take away jobs from black Americans. They're the ones really getting punished by this. Whites too, but not as much as the blacks. The blacks are ones who are really getting punished by illegal immigration more than anybody. And you hear a lot of crap saying, well, there's jobs that black or white people won't do that illegal to do. I don't believe in that, Mike. I believe if you pay them a halfway decent wage, anybody will work those jobs.
Yes, I agree.
There's some tough jobs out there. I'm not going to lie. Roofing and block masonry and all that's a tough job. But you know what? Before the Mexicans got here, who was doing it? Who was doing those jobs, Mike?
White Americans.
The country for the last 100. Yeah, thank you. For 200 years. So all we hear is this crap by all these demon rats talking about, there's jobs white Americans weren't doing. My butt. Just start paying them a decent wage, you rich bastards. See my French, Mike. You know what I mean? So
yes.
All I can see is a conspiracy here. A conspiracy, and then you have a black guy, finally, a black leader, finally standing up saying, "Black America, like Trump said, what do you got to lose?" He's exposed the whole thing, man. That's why some of these colleges you got from New England states are full of it. No, you should try to turn your state back to red, if anything, or go independent. For goodness sakes, you want to stay blue? You're always going to be blue in the face, and that's what the problem is, Mike. In California, this guy's finally exposed to the American black electorate that, hey, guess what? These illegals are not coming here to compliment you. They're coming here to eat your lunch and take your job. You dumb dodo birds. So, yeah, Mike, I believe this guy's finally really, and you have this guy, Leo Terrell on Fox News. He's really switched now. This guy's gone full-blown Trump. He was a full-blown Democrat with Hillary. I don't know if you remember that. That guy's a full-blown liberal Democrat. But I think a lot of these black leaders are starting to realize they've been played for suckers and fools. They're like a big giant lollipop. That's exactly what these blacks are finally waking up to seeing. Hey, wait a minute. But as far as that goes, Mike, also white people have to wake up about affirmative action. If you're going to school and you're trying to better yourself and get better grades, and you're going to have some guy get promoted because he's color of skin, that's terribly wrong, man. Terribly wrong. That's reverse discrimination at its worst.
Yes.
You agree?
I agree.
You do agree with that?
I agree with that. Reverse
that,
discrimination. I mean, I felt it myself once early in my career.
Exactly. Me too. I felt it 3 times, Mike. I felt it 3 times. And I'm very bitter about it. I'm not going to lie about it. I'm very bitter, especially in the fire department. I'm so bitter. And if I told you stories on air, you probably maybe wouldn't take my, but maybe you would, Mike, because, you're the only show that you can actually voice your opinion. And, a lot of callers say, well, Mike, you should do more. No, Mike, you shouldn't do more news. You let people speak and get it off their chest. If we don't agree, we can all fight for the right to say it. And we don't always agree on everything. A lot of your callers, but a lot of your callers who I don't agree with, there's some things I do agree with them about. So I'm not bitter about that. I'm bitter about the politics of our country, like with affirmative action, illegal immigration. And I'm really more bitter than anything that it's always the fault of the white man's goodness. No, we did everything good for everybody, not bad. Bad are some things that maybe we need to correct and then do get corrected. But I still say we're the greatest country ever in history. The United States of America. With our founding fathers. They weren't perfect. But you know what, Mike? They're the best next thing wherever you could go. Believe that. So I just want to get that off my chest. But I think this guy Jones is really, really exposed. He's opened the can. And then you got Paige Pelosi with the video Trump's got. He should run that every second where she's going in there getting her hair done and telling everybody else they can't. That's Paige Pelosi. What a hypocrite. And by the way, Mike, one more thing I'm going to hang up and let you go. I got to go myself. I want you to talk about AOC and Pelosi and who really is in control now after Kennedy lost in Massachusetts last night. AOC running the Democratic Party, Mike, not Pelosi. She's in total control, AOC and the squad. They're running that party. And they're going to run it right into the ramp shot into the ground. That's it. Paige Pelosi's not running anything in that party anymore. And now with that video, I think Trump's going to put her, finally bury her, get rid of her. She's gone. She has no, she can't, she got a turnabout face, that Pelosi, because she's a lying hypocrite. You agree, Mike?
I agree.
I think AOC's definitely taking control of that party now. And Biden. And Bernie. Bumbling Bernie and Biden. I mean, well, Bernie's actually got more brains than Biden. There's no question about that.
No question.
Biden's going to be taking orders from AOC, Mike, in the squad. That Khalid Nasheed and all that shit. That's who he'll be taking his marching orders from. You can bet on that, Mike. So that's basically all I got to say today. I just want to, there's things that Dan from Washington I don't agree with him on, but he has to be right on about affirmative action. That's all it is reverse discrimination against whites.
That is. I mean, it started out with the noble ambition of equality of opportunity, but then it mutated into forced equality of outcome. And that was, our society started devolution at that point.
Absolutely. And, Mike, the thing is, we are the majority. The white, all the callers, your callers that call in, these guys got to realize we're the majority. We're not the minority. And the black Afro-Americans only make 6% of the population, Mike. And, a lot of these Afro-American women, I hate to bring this up, but I had a thing on the news the other day, 2 days ago, where a lot of Afro-American women are not happy because a lot of these Afro-American men want to get married to white women. Have you saw that, Mike, the report on that?
No, I didn't, but I'm not surprised. I've been seeing a lot of TV commercials that have mixed race couples, and I know it's politically correct and woke, but they may be selling that idea to black men that you're more socially acceptable if you have a white wife.
Exactly. And let me tell you, the Afro-American women are not happy about it, Mike. They're extremely upset about all this nonsense, as well as in all the other different cultures. They're not happy. They want to keep their men in their race. Can you blame them?
No, I can't blame them.
I don't get it. Well, they're promoting it, like you said, in a commercial like crazy. So that's another thing that's got to be brought out, too. And I'm sure down the road that's going to really come out. That you're going to see a big situation like that. And also, Mike, with the 400,000 black babies aborted last year, is that the true figure? I guess that's what I saw. I can't almost believe it. I think Mike Pence was talking about it. 400,000 black babies aborted in 1 year? That's true?
Yeah, Planned Parenthood is out there, doing their thing. And, I noticed that Black Lives Matter doesn't seem to want to go after them.
Well, accordingly, Mike, I believe it's almost 2 million more black women in this country than black men. So you can understand how the black women must feel.
Yes.
And then a lot of Afro-American men, they want to go with white women. I don't know. I can't figure it all out. And they all want to vote Democrat. And I believe this time Trump's going to get 25% of the black vote for sure. I'm almost sure of that. That's all I got to say, Mike. And I hope you get a chance to look at Uncle Tom in White Man's Bird, Mike. Talk about
all right, I'll try and fit it in this weekend here. I'm a little overloaded right now, but I will try and get to it. All right, Tom, thank you for the phone call. We're going to let you go. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. Getting on back to the COVID-19, Apple and Google will notify phone users who have come into contact with someone diagnosed with COVID-19, even if they haven't downloaded a track and trace app. They're going to automatically send notifications to some users' phones if they've come into contact with a person infected with the coronavirus. Well, obviously, they're tracking people infected with the coronavirus through their cell phones. And I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work without violating the HIPAA requirements. But they're starting to do that. And maybe it's a good thing and maybe it isn't. I'm not entirely sure yet. Anyway, the number of Americans with depression symptoms have tripled amid the coronavirus pandemic as stress levels rose and savings accounts dwindled. Okay, the left-wing Philly mayor ripped for indoor dining in Maryland, while restaurants he banned from the same services in his own city suffer and fight for every nickel. Left-wing Philadelphia Mayor Jim Kenney is getting called out for hypocrisy after a photo emerged on his social media showing him dining inside a Maryland restaurant over the weekend while eateries in his own city suffer from his ban on indoor dining. Now, getting back to Nancy Pelosi and her little hairstyle thing, she confirmed she got her hair done indoors at a San Francisco salon, says she didn't think she did anything wrong. But apparently she waltzed into a shuttered hair salon in San Francisco, got her hair blown out without wearing a mask. Got to take a break for commercials. Back with the last segment of our program after these few words.
Is your property a financial burden and causing you grief? Have you tried to sell but can't find buyers? Or are you just too busy to sell your property? Don't worry, we have the right solution for you. We buy properties as is, with cash, close in 30 days, and pay all closing costs. Our service is ideal for property owners who are in pre-foreclosure, have high-end repair costs, experiencing financial hardship, going through costly divorces, are relocating, need cash for retirement, suffering family loss, or have tax liens. Whatever your situation may be, we can help you sell your property and get the money you need. If you own a single-family home or multiple family units, call us for a free consultation at 888-910-1037. That's 888-910-1037. Or visit our website at cachingproperty.com. That's cachingproperty.com. Sell your property fast and leave all your worries behind.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
After about a month of Extendovite, I don't know what it is about the circulation factor. I was able to increase the weight, increase the amount of sets I could do. It has to do with the oxygen getting to the blood. You should market this as an athletic performance. And I don't change anything about my diet or anything. I just thought, this is amazing. Bilberry extract is got something called resveratrol in it, which is the same stuff that you get from red wine. It's also good for eyesight. And I was reading that the Royal Air Force during World War II would give their pilots bilberry jam so they could have better night vision stuff. This is amazing.
To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Hear ye, ConstitutionOnTrial.com presents the most important question for our generation. Is the United States Constitution biblical? Witness the prosecution and defense of the United States Constitution on trial, live and unscripted at the Maranatha Retreat Center in Everton, Missouri, and streamed live on YouTube. For the prosecution, Ted Weiland, pastor, Bible teacher, and author of Bible Law versus the United States Constitution, The Christian Perspective. Versus for the defense, Brent Allen Winters, a practicing lawyer and author of Excellence of Common Law in Light of History, Nature, and Scripture. Is the United States Constitution biblical? live and unscripted at the Maranatha Retreat Center in Everton, Missouri, and live streamed on YouTube. Saturday, September 19th from 6:30 till 9:30 p.m. Come one, come all. This most important event is free to attend and streamed live on YouTube. Go to constitutionontrial.com.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the phones to Pat in Fort Worth. Hello, Pat. Welcome back to the show. What's on your mind today?
Hi. I just wanted to talk about this death certificate because a guy about 4 times ways back, he was saying, well, you can look at the death certificate. He doesn't know how those are formed. I mean, you could call in the county, whoever it is that declares people dead. He'll put down whatever you wanted to. He don't care. The one here in Fort Worth, I don't want to get into it. He changed about 250 of them one time when people questioned him, and he's the one that let all the bodies from Waco thaw. He was in charge of keeping them frozen.
I remember that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's him who does it, and then if you won't go along with it yourself, a family relative or whatever, they'll go back and they'll go to the nursing home, and that doctor will sign it, and you don't. There's not a thing you can do about what they put on there because you can't do any proceedings without a death certificate. You got to prove they're dead. Okay, and then. There's nothing you can do about it. They can put down anything they want to, and with the shutdown, you can't get medical records still house. I mean, I've seen this going on, and veterans are in bad shape out here. It's really sad. It's really sad. But also, too, since a caller, I thought I was on the line. A caller called about, or you talked about depression.
Yes.
People need to know that magnesium. Most people are suffering from a magnesium deficiency. You can go on YouTube and hear it says 9 symptoms of magnesium deficiency. And I know a lot of people have all 9 of them. And it's really sad because you can't take too much. If you take it, you just get diarrhea. And that guy says, well, back up 20% on what you were taking if you do that. But it even makes you depressed. I mean, it talking about these SRIs and all that stuff that the military is giving people and making them want to commit. You don't need any of that. You just need magnesium. Back in the day when 54, I think, Adele Davis wrote Eat Right to Keep Fit. And she's got a whole chapter on how great magnesium is, how it can make your baby stop crying, on and on and on. Medicine has just gone to pot. There's just nothing out there. That's the way I look at it. I'm sorry. But we used to know how to do all that stuff. And I don't know what happened unless it's foreign doctors coming here and they say, okay.
Well, it became a money-making operation back under the Nixon administration when he signed the Health Maintenance Organization Act. It basically turned medicine from a service into a for-profit business. And that's what it's been about ever since, is for profit. They want to sell you new medications that are patentable and have market exclusivity. They're not interested in any healing or treatment that can be done with natural occurring materials or simple elements like magnesium because they can't make a profit off of that.
That's right. And they try to suppress the knowledge. It's hard to believe. But I'll let you go. All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. And there's the music. It's time for me to get on out of here. My apologies to the callers who were waiting online. Please try and call back tomorrow. Anyway, stay tuned for John Stedmiller. I'm sure he's got lots of interesting things to share with you. Please spread the word of Republic Broadcasting. Spread the word of whatreallyhappened.com. Please donate. We need your help to keep doing what we are doing for as long as we possibly can. We'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.
Thank you.